G'day guys, how you doing? Behind me is the 2022 Subaru WRX. Today we're gonna have a look at everything that's new with this car. We're gonna take it for a spin, give it some sauce through the twisties, as you know we love to do. I'm gonna go through all the updates that Subaru has made, including the design changes and the engine change. And I'm gonna let you know, does this car still compete with its front wheel drive competitors? Before we get into the video guys, I just wanna give a shout out to our channel sponsor, Driva. They're a finance comparison website that'll help you get the best car loan for your next car. In under 2 minutes, you can have a complete application filled out. It has no impact to your credit score, and it will have a breakdown of all the costs associated with the loan, so you have no hidden fees. Stop getting ripped off by finance companies and use Driva. We have a link in our description or the comment section below, and for every settled loan, you'll get a $150 fuel card. All right, let's get into the review. All right, so starting at the front of the car, you can see that Subaru have kept the iconic hood scoop. I absolutely love the look of that. And it does actually help funnel air into the 2.4 litre turbo 4-cylinder engine. We'll get into that later. Coming to the rest of the front, you can see we've got this nice graphite looking grille there with a nice big Subaru logo. We've also got these cool headlight designs here. It's a bit of a C-clamp design. These are also super bright as well. I know there's probably gonna be a lot of people out there that hate this design. I actually think it's really nice. I think it's a little bit more understated than other WRXs in the past. We've also got a good amount of aero through there, and we actually have some functional aero on the sides, which I'll show you in a second. I have to say, I really love the blue on this car as well. I think that's absolutely the color I would go for. I think it looks absolutely amazing. It's got this interesting black hexagonal pattern going on that actually continues throughout the entire vehicle. All right, so coming to the side of the Subaru WRX, first thing you'll notice is these super cool wheel arches. They've actually got some functional aero that funnels air from the front of the car along the side of the wheels, cooling the brakes. I think it looks really cool and aggressive. And just like at the front, it's got that really interesting hexagonal pattern on it, and that continues all the way along the side of the vehicle as well. Up front here, we've got some 18-inch alloys. These wheels do have some low-profile Dunlop SP Sport Maxes, and I'm going to be abusing them later. We do also have keyless entry and go. However, if you use keyless entry, it will not unlock any of the other doors for your passengers, so you'll have to manually do so. Here we are at the rear of the WRX. This is my favorite angle of the vehicle personally. I just love how aggressive these quad exhaust tips are, and they actually don't sound too bad. Have a listen. What else have we got here? Well, we've got a pretty cool looking ducktail spoiler. We've got our Subaru spelt out there, as well as symmetrical all-wheel drive. That basically just means that the power is sent 50-50 between the front and rear wheels. We've got our nice Subaru logo there, as well as our WRX badge. Apart from that, the plastic black cladding continues to the back. I think it looks super cool with this kind of faux diffuser down here. And we've got this really interesting kind of crystalline type pattern in these rear taillights. I've actually never seen this in a car. Very, very cool effect. And Subaru appear to be teasing me because it looks like there might be a light bar across here, but there absolutely is no light bar. Subaru, I reckon you should put a light bar here. All right, guys, that's pretty much it for the exterior of the WRX. Let's have a look inside. All right, guys, so sitting in the 2022 Subaru WRX. This Subaru does have kind of this hard plastic. It's not a very soft feeling material, but I guess Subaru knows that you're going to be thrashing the hell out of this thing, so they want you to have a hard wearing steering wheel. I understand that. We've got this cool fake carbon fiber in front of me with WRX spelt out there. The steering wheel buttons are pretty well laid out as well, albeit a little simple. I've got my cruise control buttons on the right, as well as a couple of blank buttons, which is kind of frustrating to see in a top spec of a car. Yes, I know there is a higher spec than this available with the CVT transmission, but this is the top spec manual, and I don't like to see blank switches. And what would have been on those switches is the adaptive cruise control and lane centering functions. Subaru says we can't have those features because this is a manual, but I think that that's just cost saving, to be honest. So this car does have cruise control, however, it's not adaptive. All right, moving on to the rest, I've got volume controls on my left, as well as an info selector for the small digital screen in front of me, and that brings me to the analog gauge cluster. Now, there is a small digital screen in front of me that displays various things such as my fuel usage, as well as an interesting little boost gauge for my turbo, which I found kind of cool, and I had that on most of the time. But the rest of the gauge cluster just feels a little outdated. Most of the competition are moving to digital instrument clusters at this price point even, and I would have liked to have seen a digital instrument cluster on this vehicle. However, the analog cluster does get the job done. Now moving over to my left, we do have a decent sized vertical screen. It's basically the size of an iPad Pro. Personally, I'm an Apple CarPlay guy, and I'm not the biggest fan of vertical screens because I don't think you maximize the screen real estate. You do end up relegating a lot of that screen space to useless things. Now, what's not so useless are the climate controls down the bottom. Usually when climate controls are relegated to the screen, I'm not overly impressed with the functionality of them. And I will say these weren't the most intuitive to begin with. And due to that, I wasn't able to work out that this actually does have auto air conditioning until recently. So if you want to access the auto air conditioning, you have to click the center button above the fan controls. And that's where you can switch it from max to auto to circulating air. We also have our front heated seat controls here as well with 3 levels. And we can also control the temperature of the air conditioning on screen. However, we do have physical buttons for the temperature if you're not a huge fan of using the screen. Though my bet is if you're buying this car, you have to get comfortable with using the screen because most of the functions are controlled through there. Another thing I find kind of funny is the fact that we have a single page of apps on the screen. It actually shows, like on an iPhone, how you can see the number of pages. It just shows 1. If Subaru ever wants to add more icons to this homepage, then you'll be able to scroll across and access more. The inbuilt navigation is kind of laggy, to be honest, so I'd probably just use Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. And if you click the little car icon in the bottom left corner and click driving assistance, that's where you can turn off the annoying Subaru driver monitoring system. Essentially what that system does is it just makes sure that your eyes are looking forward. However, it often detects things like arm movements as you looking away. And so it yells at you for no reason. And it's like, no mom, shut up, I know what I'm doing. Up ahead of me, I got a 3.5mm auxiliary cable. For all you hi-fi junkies, you can plug in your amplifier and just blast music through the pretty impressive Harman Kardon sound system, which has got a pretty decently sized subwoofer in the back as well. We've also got 2 USB Type A ports there as well as a 12-volt socket and a decent little storage area as well. And we have our 6-speed manual shifter. Damn, it feels good to be in a manual. I personally drive manual every day. And aside from being a little bit of a pain in traffic, it's just a lot more of an engaging drive. You really feel like you're driving the car, said every manual driver ever. We've got a couple more storage areas here, as well as a couple of cup holders and a decent sized little center compartment. However, most of it is taken up by a CD reader. So if that doesn't show you that Subaru is a little bit stuck in the past, I don't know what does. Anyway, we've got a pretty decent sized glove box there and some nice material around the cabin. There is some scratchy plastics, but that is to be expected, obviously, of a car priced at about 50,000 Australian dollars. What else is in the front? Well, we have our controls for our sunroof. It's a simple 1-button operation to open it and close it, and there is a tilting option as well. And once it's closed, you can just pull this cloth cover closed. So just coming to my right-hand side, I've got my blind spot monitor, and that brings me to the safety features of the car. It is a little bit lacking when it comes to safety features. Like I mentioned earlier, we don't have adaptive cruise control, lane centering, lane keep assist, or lane departure warning. We do, however, just have blind spot monitoring and rear cross traffic alert. So I think we've got the bare bones essentials, but it would have been good to see those other features included as well. I just want to talk about the comfort of these seats because I think they're actually really nice. They have this beautiful suede Alcantara feel to them. They have a cool little WRX logo embossed into the headrest there as well. The seats are actually fully electrically adjustable, including lumbar support, which is super important, especially for those long road trips. That's a really good addition. Thank you, Subaru. And one extra quirk that I noticed, which you don't see often, is a tilting headrest. So if you really want to sit like this, then you can. All right, I think that's enough about the front. Let's check out the rear. All right, here we are in the back seats of the Subaru WRX. And the quality back here is actually quite good. We've got that carbon fiber looking material continuing back here in the back, which is super cool. The seats also have that suede Alcantara material. They're actually quite nice. Legroom behind myself is decent. Headroom is not bad. And we've got an additional couple of cup holders back here as well with a nice leather feeling material. What else is back here? Well, unfortunately, we don't get any air vents back here. So this car does have a dual zone climate control up the front. I'm not sure if I mentioned that. So a little bit disappointing that there's no climate control in the back. However, the outboard seats do have heating, which is pretty cool. So overall, the rear seat's pretty comfortable, pretty nice. So let's talk about practicality and how much boot space we can get. All right, so coming to the boot, obviously this is a sedan, so you wouldn't expect the most practical boot in the world, but let's check out inside. As you can see, it smoothly opens there. And we have a weird triangular shaped entrance there. Now, it doesn't have the biggest height in terms of getting really bulky items in the back here. However, the spaciousness inside the boot is really great. And there's also a much wider section just behind the wheel arches as well for any long items. Now, we do also have some underfloor storage, but not much room at all, unfortunately. Now, we can actually put down the back seats to expand the storage. And to do that, you just have to go around the side, pull this little button up here, and pull this button up here, and these seats come straight down. And now we have a pretty ginormous amount of room. However, we are still limited by height. And as you can see, the rear seats pretty much fold perfectly flat. So I'm pretty impressed by that. I think Subaru have done the best they can with obviously it being a sedan. So let's move on to something a little bit more interesting, the updated engine. All right, let's check out what's underneath the bonnet of the WRX. Ooh, gas struts. And you can see this funnel here that actually funnels the air from that hood scoop into the intercooler at the top of the engine there. That's to help cool the 2.4 litre turbo 4-cylinder boxer engine. Yes, that's right. This engine has been increased from 2 litres in the previous version to 2.4 litres. Now, does that translate into a massive boost to the power and torque? Unfortunately not. This car has 202 and about 350 Newton meters of torque. So, let's see how this thing launches. All right, guys, so launching the Subaru WRX. Obviously, being a manual, it doesn't have launch control. Now, Subaru claim it'll do 0 to 100 in 6 seconds flat. Let's see what I can manage on this wet day. Oh, hit the limiter a bit there. Woo! All right, so even hitting the limiter slightly, I got 6.62 seconds. Not bad. All right, let's drive this thing normally. Alrighty, so taking the Subaru, hit the rev limiter there. Taking the Subaru WRX for a drive. Now, I was pretty excited about getting into this car because as a young lad, I always loved the sound of those Impreza WRXs driving around with their boxer 4-cylinder engines, and I thought they sounded really cool. However, jumping into this car, I was a little disappointed with the sound of the engine. It seems almost like it's been tamed down, despite having a larger capacity, 2.4 litres in this case. Overall, the ride quality is quite good. It doesn't have adaptive dampers, rather it has passive damping. I believe it's quite good overall. Then you get to the country roads and it becomes a little bumpy. However, put your foot down and actually that feedback is a really good thing. Also, obviously being a manual, we don't really get any different drive modes. So you just put your foot down and off you go. Oh, now, oh my God, this thing's actually quite fast in those like mid-ranges. As we saw, it's not super fast off the line, but in those mid-range rev ranges, it's actually quite a lot of fun. And then you take it to the twisties. Oh yeah, that's nice. And I love the sound of that turbo whirring up as well. That's pretty cool. It also shows me up ahead of me, I've got it configured to show me how much pressure my turbo is producing. Oh. 0.65 times 100 kilopascals, whatever that means. All 202 kilowatts of power is sent to all 4 wheels. Now, it is split 50-50 between the front and rear through a limited slip differential in the manual. However, I do believe the CVT version has a different drivetrain or a different system of splitting the power. All right, let's give it some sauce through here. Oh yeah. Oh. That is actually a lot of fun, and I have to say, it's very well planted. It doesn't seem to have a lot of body roll at all. And it's just fun being in a manual. I drive a manual every single day, but not a sporty manual. In fact, I drive a Lancer, and the original Lancer Evo was actually one of the main competitors to the Subaru WRX. Oh yes, I definitely feel like I've gone to the dark side here. Oh. It's actually, you know what? It's actually a lot of fun. This just goes to show you that you don't need to be blisteringly fast in a straight line to have fun with the car when you've got engaging dynamics like this. I like the steering response. It's not too heavy, not too light. It's like a good middle ground. And we are coming up on one of my favorite places to drive, which is Saucy Corner. It is time to give the sauce. Oh yeah. Whew. Oh, nice. No understeer there. Whoa, bit of understeer there. And off she goes. Ah, nice, nice. Honestly, this car's pretty cool. I just wish it had a little more drama, a little more theatrics with the engine. That would have been really cool. Because whenever I think of a WRX, I think of that loud boxer engine just rumbling along, but maybe that's what the extinct STI version would have had. We can only dream. Now, if we switch it back to kind of, I was about to say normal mode, but I'm literally in a manual, so I downshifted to second. I'm an NPC. Let's just drive it normally and have a quick chat about the overall driving of this car. Now, one of the things that disappointed me when I first hopped onto the freeway with this was the lack of safety features like adaptive cruise control, lane centering, lane keep assist. It does have things like blind spot monitoring and rear cross traffic alert. However, the lack of those other features was a little bit disappointing to me, I have to say. But overall, the car is quite comfortable to drive. The road noise is on the louder end. I believe it could be due to the tires that we have on this thing at the moment. So overall, I'm pretty impressed with this car. Let's get into my final thoughts. Honestly, I wasn't super impressed when I first got into this car, but boy, was I surprised once I got behind the wheel, because this thing comes alive in the corners. No, it's not gonna be the fastest car in a straight line. However, once you get this thing going in its mid-rev range, and you'll be absolutely shredding all 4 of your tires going around corners. This thing is very playful and very fun to drive, and that's why I think it still competes with its front-wheel drive competition. However, in this segment, the competition is only getting better, and I think if Subaru wants to keep up, they need to keep innovating and improving this already impressive drivetrain. Anyway, let me know what you guys think about the WRX. Do you guys love it? Do you guys hate it? Do you think it goes completely against what a WRX should be? Subscribe to the channel if you're new. We also have our links on the screen if you want to watch similar videos. Also click our Driva link as well if you're interested in car finance. They are guaranteed to get you the best car loan. Enjoy the rest of your day. Ciao for now.